Hello and welcome to this live show, which is being hosted on the Blab platform for those people who will be watching the recording afterwards. My name's Paul Deach, and this is the Home Workers Network. And I'll just read out the mission statement of the Home Workers Network, which we will do at the beginning of every show. The show that is all about creating an engaged home workers community that shares best practice and leadership so that together we can grow and develop both ourselves and our businesses. Now, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Julian Jenkins and Phil Croshaw. Say hello, fellas.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are.
Excellent. Now, I'll just take you through what we're going to be discussing on today's show, which is actually a pilot. This is the first pilot. We'll hopefully be launching the actual first episode of this show next week. Really, this is I see it as a kind of live brainstorm with our audience so that we can figure out how the show is going to move forward. But on today's show, we will be talking about how the Home Workers Network started. We will also be talking about how we see the shows developing and the type of content viewers can expect in the future. We're also going to have a little bit of a fun segment, which is the Home Workers Network Cribs. We'll also be talking about top tech tips. That's a bit of a mouthful.
It's easy for you to
say. Tech tips. And at the end of the show, we'll always finish with the audience Q&A and participation. So what I'd like to do is get started and not waste any time and introduce my first co-host, which is Phil Croshaw. And Phil is going to talk about how the Home Workers Network started. So over to you, Phil.
Okay, thanks very much, Paul. Well, I mean, I suppose the Home Workers Network started as a result of just, in a sense, swimming in the pool, if you like. When I discovered Blab as a home worker myself, what I found was it was a really great way of engaging with people in what can be relatively sometimes a bit of a lonely gig when you're working from home. You know, especially if you're new, if you've just started a business and you're used to the office environment, it can be really difficult to get used to the quietness, if you like, and keep motivated, especially during that. So I came onto it, and what I started to realize was not only was I able to then chat and network and have some banter with people, I was also learning a lot as well. So I'd actually be beavering away on what I was working on at the time, but I'd be listening in, and I'd just be picking up little snippets and little tips and so on. And then I started to get to know a few people better, as happens in the real world, really. Well, you probably get to know people a lot quicker because you're seeing them, if you like, in a more regular way. You might be seeing them once or twice a day or 2 or 3 times in a couple of days. So I started to develop a really quite relatively close relationship with Paul and Julian. And I think the key was that we realized that we were like-minded. And I think that like-minded in this context was about we were ambitious, we had aspiration, we were probably learning junkies. We were, myself and Julian are speakers. I do a lot of content marketing and Paul does a lot of content marketing. And what we realized was that this was a really a great way just to get together in a social sense. So almost like social meets communication, meets learning and development. And what a great way to network. And I think that certainly from my point of view, I'm a great believer that if in my activity, which is coaching and consultancy and such like, it's about being seen and heard, and content is very key. So we were very keen to get into this and just talk and chat and provide value to people. It's not about trying to make money from it. It's not trying to make money out of anybody. It's having a bit of fun, sharing some stuff, learning some stuff, and doing it from the comfort of your own office or home, which I think will be very, very valuable, as I would have found it valuable myself.
Absolutely, Phil. And what's really interesting, if you for those watching, we've got a really nice little audience growing now. What's really interesting is that the three of us have never actually physically met. And I think that just that alone proves the value of modern technology now, where we can collaborate in the cloud. And I think those are the types of skills that the three of us have that we'll share with our community to show how you can collaborate online without even actually having to leave the comfort of your own home. There's a couple of tools that we've used. We've set up a Dropbox account so that we can share documents, show notes, and that type of thing. We've got a WhatsApp group so that we can collaborate in the background. We may move that over to Slack. And those are the types of things that those tools and resources are the things that maybe we'll share, particularly perhaps in the top tech tips segment of the show going forward. So if anybody has any questions about how the show started and maybe some of the equipment, tools, and that type of thing that we use, remember the question tag, which is /Q space and then your question. So thanks very much for that, Phil. Really appreciate it. Now, Julian, and I remembered your name. How about that?
Sorry, Steve. Thank you.
Now, Julian's going to talk about how we see the shows developing and the type of content we can that viewers can expect going forward. So take it away, Julian.
Yeah, I think what's really important and what really sort of interested me in terms of setting up the Homeworkers Network was to get a collaborative approach in terms of everybody who work from home, who have pitfalls, who have challenges, who get up every day thinking, what if I can do that? And, one thing for me is that if you learn from your own mistakes, you'll grow. But if you can learn from other people's mistakes, you can grow a lot quicker. So the actual content we're looking to put together really needs to be dynamic from the network itself. There's a Facebook page, which is the Homeworkers Network, which you can go on and you can type your questions or your answers, and we can create a community within that. If you like, when a lot of these things are put together, they're designed from the inside out. This is something which I think is going to be a bit different because we're designing this from the outside in. So we're looking for all of the people from the outside to come and put things inside. So, for us, there's three guys here at the moment, Paul, Phil, and myself. And yes, we're here at the beginning. We may not be here every week. And we discussed last night that we're just basically going to be facilitators. We're going to be hosts. The actual agenda, the topics, the questions, everything that's going to be set is going to come from the network. Because ultimately, you're the people, or we're the people every single day who are facing these challenges, working from home, being self-employed, being an entrepreneur. So although there's going to be a structure, the show's going to be an hour. We're going to have 2 features this week, and it'd be great if people can come on and be part of that feature. The one is a bit of fun. It's the Home Network Cribs. So if you've got a roving camera and you'd like to show us around your office and say, well, I put this here because it helps me with this, and this is what I do here because it helps me with that. And it gets people an understanding of how your office is set up and why it's set up in that way. And the other one is the top tech tip, which basically is going to be what piece of hardware or software has made your life incredibly more simple. Okay, what's allowed you to create a bit more time? And those are the 2 key features we're going to be working on this week. Plus, of course, the main feature is getting people to come and sit in the seat, talk about what they're finding difficult, what they found successful, what they haven't found successful. And that can be a range of topics. That can be social media, it can be marketing, it can be branding, it can be a business analysis, it can be basic business, whether that's a finance or taxation or whatever you're struggling with or what you got expertise in. We'd love you to come and jump in the seat. And that's how we're going to form the show. So there's not going to be really any set agenda unless there's something in Facebook or we get something within the LinkedIn page that says, I would like to talk about X. It's our job then as facilitators to try and find the experts within the network to come on and talk and try and alleviate those pain points that some people are suffering on a daily, weekly, and hourly basis. So the idea of the show is very simple. It's there for us as a network to spread best practice, thought leadership, knowledge and experience in an environment where we can have a bit of fun, we can have a laugh, and we can do it that everybody comes away with maybe 1 or 2 notes on their notepad. So the show is definitely about you. It's not about us. And it's about designing this from the outside in, not the inside out. So in my mind, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to facilitate that. And in terms of, we said before, if you want to take a seat, the best way we would think about doing is, again, this is an evolution, not a revolution. If you'd like to take a seat, all you have to do, very simply, is press the number 1 in the comment section, like I've just done, and then Paul or Phil or whoever it will be will queue that person up, and then we can start a queue to get people in. Also, if you're in a seat and you've said what you need to say, and you see a number one appear in the comment section, you know that's your cue then to step aside and allow somebody else to come in and have their say. So it's a very simple format, and we thought that would work.
If I could add to that, on jumping in on the seat. Also, please, if you're in a seat and you're talking and we boot you out, it's not because we're being rude or we want to or we don't agree with what you're saying. It's just that we want to free up the seat for somebody else to jump in, because we want to try and keep the thing flowing as best as possible. Yeah, absolutely. Now, if I could just ask you a few more questions about some of the sort of regular features. So the way I saw it, from what you've just said then, is that we'll have maybe a main feature to begin with.
A topic, yeah.
A topic, which will hopefully be led from the Facebook page, from comments that either people have put in the comments on a previous show, or in the Facebook, or on Twitter, whatever social media they choose.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully, if there's a subject that we know somebody within the network who's either a thought leader or an expert in a particular field, we can invite. We've got a spare seat. We can invite them in as a guest to do a little talk on that. So that's the way I saw that working. Okay. Is that how you saw it? Yeah. And also the other segments like top tech tips, which is actually a segment I am really excited about, because I use lots of tools, software, whether they be apps on my mobile phone, web type, cloud-based products, that type of thing, that allow me to work much smarter. And I think that's where the audience will really be able to help us there. So if there's an app that you use, it could be a productivity app. It could be, last night we had a private meeting, not on Blab, on GoToMeeting. So it could be a tool like that could help people work smarter. And I think those are the types of things that we'll be talking about in that segment. And actually, there is another segment which I would like to add.
Here's the surprise. Sorry, Paul, just before you say that, can we just give credit to Marcus? Because when we were playing around this the other week, Marcus, who's in the room at the moment, he was actually showing us around his crib, Marcus Boswell, and Marcus was showing us a piece of technology that he bought that had really saved his life. And we went, wow, there's one of our first things. Marcus, you've come up with a top tech tip. And maybe Marcus is the guy that can deliver this week and talk about his box, which we won't give too much away, which has saved him a lot of time, because Marcus is in the room at the moment.
Yeah, and we can open up the seat for Marcus. And Marcus, if you just put a 1 in the comment just to say whether you're willing to do that, we'll bring you in shortly. No problem at all. But the other thing about this show that we want to do is have a bit of fun.
Yeah. As
Phil said earlier, when he was talking, that working from home, especially if you're disciplined, which I assume most people are when they work from home, can be quite. I suppose you miss the interactions. I wouldn't say lonely, but you miss the interactions with office workers. And this show is aimed not just at people who permanently work from home. I mean, Julian has his own office, but he works from home as well. Even if you work for a big company and you work from home once a week or once a month, actually, let me just boot him out just for 1 second, and we'll let him in once we're finished. One of the things, even if you only work from home maybe once a month or something like that, you still are a home worker in the strict sense of the word. And, it's nice to be able to have a little bit of fun. So one of the segments I would like to bring in is Stitch Up of the Week. Okay. And that's what I'm going to do to Julian right now. Okay. Because when the show finishes, I would like everybody to have a look on the Facebook page, because I'm going to upload a really cool video. I'm going to upload a really cool video.
This show may not get past the pilot. I can tell you that for now.
So let me explain what's going on here, because last night when we were doing our sort of show briefing behind the scenes on GoToMeeting, we had a real laugh, because the other morning I happened to log on to Blab at about 7 in the morning, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Okay, what was happening, Julian?
Well, there is a funny side to this, but there's also a serious side to that. It basically was that there's a gentleman who comes on in Blab very first thing in the morning. His name's Austin Go. He's a real good character, and he does an exceptional mindfulness wake up sort of exercise piece, and I've sort of got quite addicted to it. And for some reason, I decided to tell a little bird I was doing it. And as soon as I hit that button, tell a little bird, I've known Paul now for a week or so. And Paul's picture is very distinctive because you can see his luminous sort of high vis jacket. And as soon as I hit tell a little bird, I'm doing these stretches. And as you can see, I'm probably bigger than your average bear. And smarter, of course, Paul. But basically what it was, all of a sudden I see this number come in the corner, and I see this big eye viz appear in the comment section. I thought, if there's anybody that I didn't want to see me doing Tai Chi first thing in the morning, it was Mr. Deitch, and it was disappointing, I have to say.
It was so funny, and this morning I logged on and caught Julian doing exactly the same thing. This time in his pajamas. And his mug of I don't know what it was, herbal
detox
tea.
Herbal tea, yeah.
Yeah, and unbeknown to Julian, I caught the whole thing on camera. So there's a video going to be posted about 10 minutes after the show, after the after show, will be posted on Facebook. And if anybody wants to see Julian get stitched up, our Facebook page is a place to do that.
Thank you.
Now we've got a guest who's calling in.
I know Barry well.
You know Barry, dear.
Yeah, I know Barry.
Cool. Let's let Barry in.
My partner.
Oh, fantastic! Come on in. Hey, Barry.
Hey, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Good to see you. Julian's been talking about this for quite a while. He's a big advocate of Blab. I think he's maybe slightly addicted from my conversations with him, but it's good to see that he's taking things forward, and good to see that you guys are involved too. So I thought I'd sort of take the big leap and jump in that first chair.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we would love to see you take part in this more regularly.
Sure.
And if you've got any questions you want to ask us, fire away. But before do you have a question?
Well, no, I mean, it's just to get a little bit of a background to my story. Julian just mentioned that I've known him for a long time, over 10 years. We've worked in full-time employment side by side, sometimes face-to-face, sometimes happy, sometimes a little bit angry, but that's what happens within work. But after sort of 10, 11 years within a position now, I'm also working from home now on a few projects, including one with Julian as well. So this is, my foot is definitely in the water now, and it's a different world. Naturally, I'm sat here now wearing a T-shirt and jogging trousers rather than a shirt and tie, which is rather nice. The dog is in the background. I'm sure he'll probably bark any second when the postman walks past. But certainly working from home and building something new, something which is for yourself, you can take a lot of pride from doing. And I'm sure you also know that there's pitfalls with that. There's frustrations. There's high days and low days. And, we had a good meeting yesterday. Things after looking a little bit rocky started to move forward again with a lot more purpose, and we're feeling good again. So it's one of the you're the master of your own destiny in that respect, and it's new for me, and I'm really enjoying it.
So where do you see the biggest challenges then, Baz? Because we've asked this question 3 or 4 times, and the interesting one that came back all the time was the word discipline. So when you're working from home, where do you see the big challenges?
Well, my big problem from employment as well. I mean, just from my background, I'm from communications, media, social media within sports environment as well. So I've worked with a football club for over 10 years. I've built up Facebook platforms, Twitter, etc., and with very large followings as well, obviously within the Football League and Premier League. Now, my problem is I was always guilty of building monsters, in that I saw something being not really to the standard that I wanted it to be. I thought it could be better, so I wanted to make it better myself. And then you're working hours and hours and hours doing that. I'm a night owl by default, really. I do a lot more of my work probably from sort of 10 o'clock at night after the kids have gone to bed and even the wife has gone to bed. That's when I find my kind of creative sweet spot, when I can really work on either Photoshop or when I'm working on other platforms too. But the problem is then you're a mess in the mornings, and with working from home, you've got that added discipline where you need to be able to get up and do things quickly and balance that family life too. So if I can find a way which can really get that balance and get that discipline into that working time frame, whilst also being in the home environment or into the temporary office we work out of occasionally. And I think that's going to be a benefit.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree. I remember when I very first started working from home, and I love Discovery Channel, and it's a mega time suck. I could sit and watch Discovery Channel all day long, and I made the conscious decision when I started working from home, which is in about 1998, that after 9 o'clock, after I've had my coffee, watch Sky News, the TV goes off because it's time to go to work. And because you're working from home doesn't mean to say that you wouldn't have the TV going or you wouldn't have Discovery Channel going at work. Maybe some companies do, I don't know. Yeah. But most places of work, you wouldn't have the TV on because it's just too much of a distraction. So I totally get what you're saying there. So thanks for that.
Sky Sports News is on in the background again. It's that little you got that habit of sort of keeping up to date with things on the football side of things. But it's interesting times. I mean, Julian knows as much as well.
Yeah.
What I've found is, I suppose the holy grail for me was always to try and find a situation where the work I was doing, I loved so much and was so passionate about, is that I didn't think of it as going to work or not going to work. It just became a lifestyle. And I think everybody wants that and needs that. I don't know what you guys think, but I often think that sometimes you can be in a mood for work, in inverted commas, more than other times. But what working from home helps me to do is work when I'm in the best frame of mind for doing some particular work. Yeah. So I might watch something on TV in the day because maybe I'm just a bit tired because I'm an old man now. And maybe at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But then maybe at 8 o'clock at night, rubbish on the TV, just kind of a bit buzzing on something I've read, and I'll then start working then. So I think in terms of the times you can work is absolutely amazing, pretty much any time. But also, of course, as we intimated a few minutes ago about technology, where we can work. We talk about home working, but in reality, I'm sure we're all the same. We're actually working in the car, in the coffee shop, at the services on the M6. Yeah. You name it. And that's the wonderful thing about technology.
The thing that I found most interesting about the word discipline here is it's not just your own discipline. Is that, I'm working from home at the minute, and then my wife Joanne will phone up and say, well, can you do this? Or I'm not saying she's anything more than perfect, but it's that you're at home, you can do it kind of scenario, isn't it? Or, you can go and do that. So, well, no, I'm in the pocket now. I'm actually working on something. And it's kind of viewed from the outside that you're kind of, you're at home, so you're off. So you can do A, B, and C that you would do normally either on a weekend or outside of hours. And it's like, well, you've got to get that balance in. I love having that home life where I can actually, take the dog for a walk and get my headspace and actually spend time with the kids too, a lot more than I ever did, because I missed a lot of time in my children's early years. But it's that little discipline from everyone to understand that, we want to get the money and we want to get the platforms we want to write, but we need to be able to have that discipline to say, well, let me work and let me start and let me stop and I'll do all the rest of it.
I think it's really interesting. It was the same with me. My wife would say, when are you going to get off that computer? It's like, sorry, when are you going to, it's 2 o'clock. Let's go for a call. Let's go. It's like, excuse me, I'm in work now. The fact that I'm not actually in the office, and I'm quite lucky because I've got a nice size office here in the house, and we've got another new office now where we're working at. But it's interesting. But going back, Marcus has got a few questions in there. First of all, the question he asked was, just to jump off slightly, is where did we get the time? What made you come up with this time for the blab? So why 12 o'clock? Is the first question. I think we could address that.
Yeah, I'm happy to address that. So basically, we are based in the UK, and while this is a worldwide English-speaking network or show, we have our own jobs, and we would like to try and do the shows during the week when we're literally working from home. We may address the time differences, because if we get a nice audience, then there's no reason why we can't change that to evenings to fit in with other people. And we may even branch out to other sub shows from the main show. You never know. Yeah. But it's definitely something that is a moving feast, let's say. Nothing's cast in stone. even the time we're going to do it every week, the day may change because it has to fit around our own schedules. And there may be occasions when one of us might not be present because we might have a client meeting or whatever. But, it's something definitely that we're willing to be flexible on.
Quickly. I don't know. And again, this is where this is a lot of this is flying by the seat of your pants. And obviously, we're probably preaching to the converted because of the 14 other people. There's 18 in the room, 4 of us on camera, 14 other people who are currently in the room at the moment. Obviously, they quite like the time because they're here. But just quickly, and again, we've never done this before, and I'm flying on the seat of my pants. If you agree with a 12 o'clock time, can everybody in the comment section just put the number 8? Because I know we've got 14 people in here. It'd be interesting to see if this is the right time. We got 3 people with 8. We got 3 people with 8. So it'd be interesting. So there's quite a few people who either aren't listening, or 8 kinda. 9 I don't count. I'm in Australia. 8 we do count, Ian, because again, we're designing this from the outside in, not the inside out. So there's a large proportion of the people in the room may want to see a different time. Just quickly, and we can't guarantee anything. This is what we concerned of last night, was that we start to promise things that we can't deliver, which is key, because the whether this is going to be successful or not is the consistency of how we do it and what we do. And I could be hoping a whole ballpark in here. We're going to keep it Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, what time do you think it should be? Greenwich Mean Time. What time would you like to see the show start in Greenwich Mean Time?
That's interesting, and it's interesting as well, the worldwide audience that we've got here. We've got someone from Australia. Someone's put in there, I don't know whether they're joking or not, but the fact they said they're in Madagascar.
Okay.
Probably.
We've probably got a couple of Yanks in the house too. Which is wonderful how this technology is bringing everybody together. What's this? 3-4 p.m. That wouldn't be a bad time to do it. The only problem is with that, Marcus, is that 2 days a week I pick my daughter up from school, and that's when that would fall. And I'd have my daughter in the background, and let me tell you something, she would want to steal the show. She loves coming on camera.
Yeah, I don't know if she follows. We got
a disco in the background.
We've got another question from Marcus. Brings me to the question, because we were joking about me getting up early in the morning and doing my Kung Fu Panda with Austin Go. But the only reason I'm doing it is because I've set my alarm clock now for 6:30 in the morning. I'm trying to get into a disciplined routine. And Marcus Boswell says, and it's Tim Ferriss says, win the morning, win the day. And the question is, what time do you start your day? So if we just go around the room, Paul, what time do you start your day?
Me?
Yeah.
Did you ask? Normally about 6:30, 7 o'clock. I mean, I have the best natural alarm clock in the world, which is an 8-year-old girl.
Okay.
And she's at her best first thing in the morning. So I don't have to have an alarm clock because I have a natural one.
Phil?
I would say probably wake up about 7:30, cup of tea, lying in bed, got on the iPad, probably till about 8:15, and then up and ready and working probably by 9. But then I'm not a morning person. I never have been. And in a way, that's what I love about what I do, is the fact that I've not got to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and go halfway across blaming Manchester, just like when the roads are awful and such like. So I'm just not a morning person. So the great thing is I've got the choice now. And I think that's one of the great things about working from home is you have the choice, really.
Yeah. So what time, this is the big one. What time do you start then, Baz?
Well, you can see by my hair, I just woke up. No, only joking. I've got 3 kids too. The school is very local. 2 of them are in junior school. So I'll get up. Well, I'm actually woken up by my wife saying, get out of bed or I'll kill you. Around sort of like the 20 to 8 mark, and then get the kids ready. We take them to school, and then I kind of settle into the day from there. But then on the flip side of that, then up until 3 in the morning as well. So that's why it looks so disheveled all the time.
I think we've probably answered Marcus's second question. If you've got any questions, mind, please feel free. You put a / in the word and the letter Q, and then you can ask the question. When do you do your best work? And I think Baz has obviously answered that. It's in the night. What about yourself, Paul?
Well, actually, although I work from home, most of the time I work out in the field because I go to my clients. I'm a content producer, so I may have to go to an event and capture audio, visual, photography, whatever at that event. or at the business's premises. I actually do some of my best work in the early hours of the morning when I don't have any distractions. So if I need to do a big edit on a video, for instance, I'll tend to do that when my wife and daughter are in bed, so that I don't get any distractions. The phone's not ringing. There's not people emailing me demanding stuff there and then. So yeah, early hours of the morning is when I'm the most productive.
I think a lot of it depends on what's on your schedule too. You know, if you've got a deadline or you've got something that's pending, it's like doing your homework and you know you've got to get it done. Obviously, you can feel more creative at certain times when you've got less distractions. And I can get a lot more done now while the house is quiet. But then I kind of fall into that. I get that second wind, as I always have. I'm absolutely shattered by around 7 o'clock at night. Then it gets to around 10, and I'm just like up again. You know, my light's glowing, and I'm ready to work again. So
I don't know if you guys remember, but in the UK a few years ago, there was a program that was on BBC Two, which was on for years actually, called Working Lunch. And I know they did a lot of research on that in terms of the best time. Now, obviously, it had a great name, but I know that because that was probably on in the earlier days of me working from home, and it's at 12:30, and I just used to kind of tune into that and have that in the background whilst I was either having lunch or doing something else. And it was just that whole idea of having a little break from work. So I suppose, like anything else, everybody will have a different preference based on what they do and where they do it. Yeah. But I know they did a lot of research around that as to what time to have that, and that's the conclusion they came to at the time.
Okay, now we're gonna move to the next segment in a second. But before I do, I just want to address a couple of the comments and questions that we've had from other people. Now, Dan, I don't know if Dan's still in the house, but if he is, he said, when are we going to have the Home Workers Network Christmas party? I'm up for that, and let's do it online. We can decorate our offices in Christmas regalia and go for it. I'm up for that. What a great idea. So thanks for that suggestion, Dan.
Well, Julian sent it, as we all know, so that's fine.
Yeah, well, I can do it.
And actually, I'd like to put Dan on the spot in a minute. And if he can put a 1 in the comments if he's prepared to do this. Because Dan, I'm going to be doing some media with Dan tomorrow because he's about to embark upon a charity bike ride literally around the circumference of the M25. And he's doing it for the Mayor's Charity, which is supporting 3 incredible local charities to where we are. Because Dan actually is only a couple of miles from me. And if you're willing to come on camera in a minute, Dan, and just tell everybody about what you're going to do, it might generate a bit of sponsorship. But if you can put a 1 in the comments to see if you're prepared to do that. If you're not geared up, it's fine. I know it's putting you on the spot. So that's one comment from Dan. Another one from Dynamic Speaking about eye contact, and was asking if I would look at the camera when I'm talking. Not always possible because of the way that I'm set up here. But I will try to give you more on eye contact. The other thing as well is that I'm actually looking at the comments of what people are typing, and I'm having to do what most men don't do very well, which is multitask. So apologies if I'm not looking at the camera, but I'll try my best to do that a bit more. And you've already asked Marcus's questions, Julian. So
Dan says that he's not got a microphone.
No worries. No worries, Dan.
Paul.
No worries at all.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Maybe next time you can talk about that because he's always doing these weird challenges, so not a problem. So the next segment of our show is Top Tech Tips. And I think we'll... do you mind if I boot you out? Is it Brian? Was that your name?
Barry. I've been called
Barry.
Baz.
Yeah. Bazza, do you mind if I boot you out? And if you want to come back in again, if you've got a top tip,
sure.
We'll bring you back in. Thanks very much for your contribution. Really appreciate it.
I think we have got a standard feature. There's the one, the Stitcher, but we're gonna put down how many times Paul can get somebody's name wrong. He's up to 2 now in this show. Okay, so he's got my name wrong, which was amazing because we've been talking for weeks. He's now got Brian, who was Baz. So he's doing well. So he's 2-0 down at the moment, folks. Please keep a tab because at the end of the show we'll see who's listening and make sure they get the same figure.
So long as I don't get my wife's name wrong, that's the main thing.
Brooks, I think.
Yeah, The Life of Brian. Thanks for that.
So long as I don't get my wife's name wrong, that's the main thing. Otherwise, I know I am in trouble.
Yeah. I was.
Especially if I get it with Julian. But anyway. Top tech tips, everybody. Top tech tips. Let's start with Phil. Have you got any top tech tips that you'd like to share?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I kind of I guess we intimated a little bit earlier, but it's very true. Is that as you said, technology is absolutely our best friend, but also our worst enemy for numerous different reasons. It's given us massive flexibility. It can work anywhere, but there's so many different distractions. I was having to think about the sorts of things that you need to consider, even just in terms of working from home, if you're starting to work from home. And when you think about it, it's quite unbelievable. I just had a quick list, and I had telecoms, all the phone side of things, and the broadband, all that, computers, PCs, laptops, email setup, website, tablets. Now we've got bloody smartphones to think about, social media accounts, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, apps now, of course, have arrived on the scene. Skype's a massive one. I do a lot of my guys who do the development are based in Russia, India, and Timbuktu, and that's amazing. That's been an amazing enabler. That's been a game changer, I think. Skype, all the different software, and then communications with clients, with prospects, with networks, blabs. Oh yeah, just as you think it's safe to go back in the water, then we get blabs and Meerkat and Periscope. Learning tools, video, you get the gist. I think that certainly, I think in terms of one of the things that's definitely come significantly more mainstream in the last year or two has got to be video in many different ways. So whether it's talking on things like Blab, whether it's Meerkat, whether it's YouTube, communicating, producing video. If you look at the statistics on the use of video online, it's almost like a straight up, and I think it's only going to go one way, and that's more and more and more of it. And probably the technology enabler of that, of course, has been bandwidth. The bandwidth gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I think here in Manchester, I have 40, 50 megs from Virgin Media now. It's a massive area. We could talk for 10 hours just on social media probably, but that's my initial thoughts, Paul.
We've got a few people in the comments. Patricia and Marcus are both talking about Trello. So Patricia, I don't know whether you'd like to come on and tell us a little bit about that. And we know, Marcus, you're in a cafe. If you could still probably pop on and just give us a little bit about Trello, because Marcus says he doesn't think he could live without it. So it'd be interesting to get that. So we got Marcus going to come in. He can talk about Trello. Hi, Marcus.
He's just coming
me right in the middle of trying to.
Here he is. Hey, fella.
Here's the man.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, hi, Marcus.
Thanks for joining us.
All right, good. Thank you. You're welcome. So I guess the short version is, forgive me, I'm really just trying to cram this lunch in before a crazy conference call that I have. Beauty of working from home. On the Trello vibe, love the idea, really do. The issue that I've got with it essentially is that it's like my one thing, right, should be populate Trello, get that sorted out. And I've really found that I'm having difficulty with that. I would say one of the top tips for anybody who's out there using it, I use mind maps a lot. I'd love to discuss that at length on another occasion, because that's a really big productivity saver for me. And particularly, in fact, I'll drop it now. One particular mind map piece of software that I use that works across iOS is called iThoughts HD. Now, we'll come back to Trello in a moment, but the reason why I mentioned iThoughts HD, and I'll write it in the comments in a bit, is because the developer, Craig, hope he doesn't shoot me for telling you all of this, it's going to go for £1 on iTunes tomorrow. Trust me when I tell you, this is the de facto mind mapping piece of software for all kinds of amazing reasons. You make your lovely map, you can send it anywhere. You can send it to PowerPoint. I've done so many PowerPoint slideshows based on just putting my information into the mind map and then pushing that out to PowerPoint. And boom, my slides are created for me instantaneously. You can push it to Word, you can push it to Excel. And here brings me back to Trello. When creating a mind map full of all of the things I ought to be doing, and then pushing that into Excel. Turns out Trello's really cool at being able to suck those into individual tasks. So for any of you who haven't used Trello before, essentially what it is a project management tool that allows you to just put your individual tasks in. And if you imagine you've got different columns, to do, done, on hold, and so on, you literally just drag and drop your entries into the various columns as and when they are completed. So hence why I say I really should be spending an awful lot more time in there organizing what it is that I need to do, when it is that I need to do it, because there's some beautiful integration into your diary and all kinds of other crazy stuff. But iThoughts HD tomorrow, iTunes £1 all day, I think. The reason why he's changed that is because it's going to be syncing with iCloud in ways that it previously didn't. So therefore, in order to get around that, rather than you buying it from the tokenware software, which is what I did, iTunes apparently are being a bit naughty, and they're obviously not allowing certain integration unless it's been purchased directly from iTunes. So the way he's gotten around this is by saying to people like me, hey, go buy it for £1 tomorrow, then you can get the brand new version of it and you're good to go. So might be a bit cheeky of me mention it, but you're a good crowd. So I figure you deserve the technology as much as me, right? Anyway, with that in mind, I don't want to hog the seat any seconds.
Absolutely brilliant, Marcus. Thank you so much.
I think the section of tech top tips has probably peaked in the pilot show. I don't think we're going to get any better than that. Not only did we have a top tech tip, we had where to buy it at a discounted rate and how it's going to affect your life. Marcus,
phenomenal.
Trust me, dudes. I've got
these. That was amazing. We're not worthy.
I've got these all day. Trust me, that's just one of my go-tos. But I'll keep them coming as time goes on. But next week we'll talk about something else. But honestly, for me, that one is a really big one. But I'm excited for you because I can think of a few more in my workflow that I'm really keen to know what other people use, to be honest.
We'll get you in again. In fact, this could be your segment.
Hey, Paul, can we embarrass Marcus? Everybody who's in the section at the moment, if you can press the number 8, if you think Marcus should be our man for top tech tips, we can embarrass him into doing it. So if everyone can put an 8 in the column there, we can get Marcus then to be our top tech tip.
Look at that, it's going crazy.
He was brilliant.
Listen,
well
if
done,
I can afford the time and my technology's flowing, I'll be more than happy. But listen, I better bounce because if I don't eat this burger, I'll not make it back to my house in time for this meeting.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you, Marcus.
Maybe we could do Marcus's top food tips as well. Can you tell us what you're eating today and tell us what the calorific value is?
Put it this way, I'm going to seriously have to work it off.
That's making me hungry now.
I'm starving.
Paul,
Finish now. That's mean.
Yes, Marcus.
May I just say, Paul, I bought your shoulder thingamajig.
The shoulder pod, well done.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. It's in the post, but that's what happens when you talk on these things. I don't know if there's an affiliate link.
You will not be disappointed, I promise you.
What can I tell you?
Marcus,
anyway, it's your fault.
We've just had a comment as well that there's some champagne in your background. Please feel free, open it, drink it, and if they want you to charge it, just say invoice the Home Workers Network UK, okay, and we'll file it under bin. Enjoy yourself.
Awesome. Better go,
Thanks,
guys.
Marcus. All the best, fella. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus.
Cheers. Well, what a great top tech tip. Brilliant. Now, Julian, have you got any?
Top tech tip. There's a few things that I'd like to use. I think one thing I'm using at the moment, which is becoming really useful for me, is one I'm using Slack. I'm really getting into Slack. Slack is something good. It's a collaborative tool, but also Asana. Asana is a really good sort of project management tool that you can group everybody together. You can assign tasks. You can then, it's very color coded, and it's all there. So it's Asana and Slack are the ones for me. Patricia, you can stay all you want, my love. We're saying the UK at the moment, but everybody's welcome. So
worldwide network.
Yeah, it's the worldwide network. So it Asana for me is a great piece of software.
Yeah,
and this is great as well. See this? It's what's known as a pen, and you can make a lot of notes, and then what you can do is you can use those notes from the show, and then you can put them into your real life.
I've never heard of it.
Genius. Okay, I'm using Slack as well a lot, particularly with a particular client, and it works so well. In my view, email is broken. It doesn't work like the way it used to because people, I think, don't use it properly, just to get a quick answer that requires a yes or no answer, they fire off an email, which does bug me a little bit, to be honest. So I'm a big advocate of Slack too. But actually, there's another tool which is completely free, and you can collaborate, and we've probably all heard of it, and it's called WhatsApp. Because with WhatsApp, you can do a lot of the things if you want to collaborate. And actually, behind the scenes, the three of us, Phil, Julian, and I, have been collaborating in the background leading up to this show using a WhatsApp group, which is private to the three of us. And if we just need a quick answer, so I needed a quick answer on something last night, and I put it in the WhatsApp group. Can somebody send me the mission statement? I can't find it to put in the show notes. And Phil came back with it straight away. No emails, no messing about, dead easy. So if you want to collaborate at a basic level, actually WhatsApp groups are very good for that. And I would say is a kind of free version of Slack. Slack is a lot better because of the plug-in tools that you have. So you can plug it into your Dropbox, you can plug it into your Google Drive, and there's lots of other external services that obviously are taking advantage of the Slack API. For those that don't know what an API is, that's an application programmer interface, which particular services open up to developers so that they can integrate into the back end of a particular program. So yeah, Slack, brilliant, but WhatsApp is my top tip. If you're working with a group of people on anything, it doesn't even have to be a work project, it could be a community project that you're involved with. WhatsApp groups are brilliant for that. So that's my top tech tip, which I suppose is a bit of a clone of Julian's. I stole his thunder there a little bit, so sorry about that, mate. Does anybody else have any top tech tips? That if you put one in the comments and want to jump in, there's a question. There's a comment
Udemy
here.
is something I use quite a lot, Paul.
Udemy. Yes.
UDEMY.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Amazing repository of learning and development content. Excuse me, quite a lot of free stuff as well, and some paid stuff. But if you like learning and development, and you like learning and development on the move, so maybe you've got 20 minutes before a meeting starts and you want to just feed your brain, feed your mind, I think Udemy is pretty amazing. In fact, didn't LinkedIn buy it, or am I dreaming?
No, LinkedIn got lynda.com, wasn't it?
Oh, it's Linda. Yeah, sorry,
Linda.
it was Linda.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's another top tech tip, which is another one. That's another show. Yeah. Linda's brilliant. It's a phenomenal resource, and I'm a yearly subscriber to that. And there's another one which we could do a whole show on, which is what we used last night to have our private meeting, GoToMeeting. Now, it is a paid service, but I'd like to do a show in the future just about that. That could be the main feature, because actually it's revolutionized the way that I work. And saves me going to meetings, but you've got to get a bit of client buy-in to that. But a lot of my clients are using it as well and absolutely love it. So that's something for the future. We've got some comments here. Let me go through them. And by the way, people, if you have a question or a comment for that matter, if you could use the question tag, which is /Q space and then your question, it makes us easy. It makes it easier for us to filter out the questions. Voice Dream Reader. Oh, there's another one.
Marcus is piling in the value.
He's flying, isn't he? He's our top tip guy.
Maximum respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Leanne says she uses GoToWebinar all the time. Yeah, I use that too. In fact, I was on a webinar recently about Slack. So, to learn more about getting the most out of it. So, yeah, definitely. And the Go-To suite of products is a Citrix product, so you get their kind of backbone reliability as well, which is fantastic. Let me go through some of these questions here. You guys carry on talking. Let's have a look here. Have you tried the new web browser version of Skype? That's a really good question. Have any of you guys used that? Because I haven't yet. Phil?
I haven't, because I've got it on my Android and I've got it on my PC as a. So where would you use it if you got your phone with you, or you got a laptop, or where would you? I'm not sure. I'm trying to get my head around where would you would use it.
Well, actually, from what I understand, and I might have this wrong because it was a long time since I first used Skype, but I think that that's how it actually started in a web browser. And then they started building apps around it and all that sort of stuff. So I've not tried it yet, but I'll tell you what we could do is maybe try it. And if it's any good and offers anything over and above what the other version offers, then maybe we could use that as a feature for next time as a collaboration tool. I know that they're allowing more people to join in on Skypes than they used to. Let's have a look.
What would be a good topic, Paul, maybe at some point? Garden sheds. Well,
garden sheds.
Garden sheds.
Have you
what, as in home offices, garden sheds?
Yeah, there's a program there on its own, isn't there? I think a lot of people are starting to get into that, aren't they now?
I take the mick up my friend. He's a very successful property developer in the Northwest, and I won't tell you the name of his business, but I call his business Two Sheds, because what he did was he put two sheds together, and he always argues with me. Actually, it was 2.5 sheds. So he's very particular about the size of his sheds. And he was 2 sheds, but he's 2.5 sheds now. But yeah, you're right. You know, he started out the back of a shed. And years ago, when you used to listen to all the really successful entrepreneurs in the UK, for some reason, everyone started it from a garage. You know, you'd say, "How did you start?" Yeah, well, I know Ronnie Wood, actually, who owned birthdays, greeting cards in the UK. I worked for him many years ago. And, you know, he'll say, "I started out of a garage," you know, and there's a lot of people in the old days who say, "Yeah, I used to start selling things out of a garage." Now it's converted to sheds now for some reason.
Do you know, it's very interesting though, isn't it? Because one of the things, I was with a client yesterday who was saying about, he's worried about, he works from home and he's trying to compete with these, I won't bore you with the details of what he does. It's in the lighting installations, basically, for nightclubs and stuff. And I was saying to him about how it's important to actually get across to a client the fact that you don't have plush offices in the middle of Manchester or London, and therefore they don't have to pay for it. You know, everybody's worried about that kind of feeling of prestige, but the reality is that the client is paying for that prestige. So one way to get around that is to reverse that psychology and say, well, if you had posh offices, you'd be paying for it. Do you want the quality and at a lower price, or do you want to come into the posh office and pay more? Somebody has to pay for it.
So Leanne's actually saying, I'm even less. She's a farm in South Australia. Well, that's
right. There you go.
That's fantastic.
There you go. Right, well, I'd like to wrap this segment up now and move on to the next segment because we're running out of time. And I know we could all talk about this for hours and hours, but I would like to try and keep these shows to time if possible. So the next segment is cribs. And
somebody wants to come in there, Paul.
Someone wants to come in.
Service address.
Who's
Service
that?
address.
Does he want to do cribs?
I think he wants to talk about Skype. Can we do that very quickly?
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring him in. The seat's open, so come on in. Here we go. It's
Here
Ian Calvert, my mate Ian.
Ian, how are you?
Great, joining us.
Ian,
hey, Ian. If you could keep this as short as possible, because I want to keep the show to exactly an hour. But you're using the new version of Skype, are you, on the web version?
I can't really say too much about it because it's one of the problems that being on these developer platforms that they don't allow you to talk too much about it. But all I can say is that I'm on the Skype iPhone developers user forum and with iPhone and Skype, and there's a lot of stuff coming out and it's really brilliant. The iPhone application has been the best it's ever been. They've just updated it again overnight with a lot more features. I'm not part of an Android group, but there is an Android group as well, so they're testing it on there. The iPad version's really great, and I believe there's also a web-based group as well. So for some reason, I don't know what Nadella's done at Microsoft, but he's obviously taken the bull by the horns, and I think Skype are the first ones where they're setting up these trial user groups to actually get a new version out, tested and rolled out. So Microsoft seem to be going really good places with that.
Right. I mean, the wish list I would have for Skype instantly, because I hardly ever use it, if the truth be told, but my wish list would be number one and foremost, because it's so big, sort your reliability out, because it's not always that reliable, number one. Number two, allow more users to come in, say up to 6 people. I don't know what it's sat at the moment. Do you know what that is, Ian?
I'm a bit confused on the figures, but I do know that the Skype for Business, which is actually obviously replaced Link, can actually have up to 300. Is it 260 or 360 concurrent users at any one time? There is talk of more users coming in on the normal Skype app, but I'll raise the question in the Skype group and I'll come back.
That'd be great. And then the other feature,
icons, there's loads of new messaging where you can actually dump people out of group messaging.
Yeah.
The messaging facility is really substantially improved as well.
Okay, and the other feature I would want would be the ability to record them, video and audio, without having to use third-party software, which is what I have to do at the moment.
Skype is no, but Skype for Business, which if you actually are an Office 365 subscriber, you're getting...
Which I am.
Well, Skype for Business is in there, and you've also got Skype for Business recording facility as well.
Do you have to pay extra for that?
No, it's part of the facility. It depends on your Office 365 package. But
I've got the top package, so
you can actually have it on your iPhone and on the computer, the recording app.
Brilliant. So okay, well, listen, Ian.
Go to the store, and it's in there.
Sorry to rush you, fella, because I really do. But thank you so much for that. That's really useful. But I really do want to keep the show on time. And we'd love you to come in once you've learned a little bit more about that in the future, so that once they release that to public consumption. So we're going to move on to the next segment. And really sorry if I've not answered everybody's questions. Really do apologise about that, but that's something that we'll learn as we go along. How much time to allocate for each section.
We can probably mop up as well in the after show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do the final segment now, which is the cribs, which I haven't got written down what we're actually calling that for some reason. But yeah, Julian, take it away.
Hi, guys. Well, if there's anybody who wants to show us their office and basically just go through why you put that there, what equipment you use, how you do it, how do you make your life easier, please feel free to press the number 1 now, and then you can take a seat and do it. My thought process is, in terms of the pilot show, there may not be many people who want to do that. And as things go forward, maybe the people will. So I thought I would be the pilot test guinea pig to show you around my office and what I do. So Homeworkers Cribs this week is going to be brought to you in association of me. That's okay, Leanne. We'd love to see your kitchen table if you'd like to come on. It's no problem at all. See, how you set up on your kitchen table. It's not a problem. But I was going to show you this. So at the moment, I've got the holding graphic up, which is the Homeworkers Cribs. But I will very shortly.
No nudity, Julian. No nudity, please.
It's okay. Some people just dress from the top half up when they're on camera, Paul.
Yeah, he did agree. Put his pants on for this.
And I know, yeah. So this is me. I'm going to pick up the camera now off the top of my laptop, and I'm going to show you my desk. Okay. So just trying to get it all right. There's my Mac laptop, which is obviously at the moment showing blab. Okay. This is my microphone. This is a Blue Yeti microphone.
Yeah, the great.
It's a great mic. It's about £120. You can buy it on Amazon. This little pop filter, I actually bought for about £5 on Amazon. So it's very helpful. I've got a nice little desk tidy over here. Okay. Which was purchased from IKEA, with my little 8-inch oscillating fan, which runs off USB when I get a little bit warm, and if my laptop gets a little bit warm. This lovely little monument here is when I need a little bit of zen. This is my Josh stick monument, so I put my Josh stick in there. There's no one in there at the moment, and I like my Josh stick, and I've got that. Another good little buy that I think is fantastic is this little power socket here. Okay, this was bought from IKEA again. As you see here, look, I've got 2 USB plugs on it. So I charge, come back over here, I charge my iPad. All right, if I'm trying to get which way the camera is, that's it. I charge my iPad here and my iPhone here. So as you can see, I've been bitten by Steve Jobs and all the work that he does. I'm an Apple freak. Okay, and there's my Apple, my Christmas present, one of the best Christmas presents I ever had. It's not that big pen; it's the Apple mouse. which I use all the time, is fantastic. This little bit gimmick here is great. It's a little desk light, $15.99 in IKEA, but it throws off enough light to change what way I look because it spins around. It's very good indeed.
Brilliant.
Okay. And then as I turn my camera around, I've actually got a home recording studio. So I've got a white backdrop with a number of lighting, which they were about £60. And it gives me that Apple feel if I want to beam a lot of white, overlight the white balance. If I do any courses on Udemy, I can use that. Just to show you, I'm a massive Cardiff City fan, worked with them for many years. There's Joe Ledley scoring the winning goal against Barnsley in the 2010 FA Cup semi-final. There's an FA Cup final shirt from 2010, and my pride possession down the end, I can't get my camera there, which is Pele's signed Brazilian shirt. Okay, so that's one of my favourites. And when I left Cardiff all those years ago, they got me two shirts, a blue one and a red one, and they were signed by the whole team. And I used to play for Cardiff many years ago. I was number 2, so they got Jenkins and 2 on there. So I'll move that around. Let's just show you again. I'll go through my crib. Okay, this is my back garden. Okay, the reason why I show you my back garden is wait for the light to readjust. It's very simple. I always have the doors open. Okay, and that looks straight out to sea. So you may see there's a big tanker. I don't know if you can see that just there going down. But we have a beautiful sunrise, and this is what I do my Austin Go. And then I've just got a boring bookcase with all my stands, a shirt I use when I'm doing presenting, and there's a mirror. And I've also got a nice big projector, which I used quite convincingly to watch England beat Wales in the rugby.
Wow.
Sorry, Wales beat England. Wrong way around. In the rugby.
Excellent.
So there's my crib, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions, please ask.
Fantastic. Well, listen, that's a great segment, and I think that we're going to have to make that a regular feature because I've already learned. I definitely want one of those lights. They're really cool.
Brilliant.
Now I'm going to wrap this up now, and then we'll have an after show. So we're not going away. So if we've not answered everyone's questions, we'll make sure we mop those up, as Julian said in the after show. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us and our guests who came on camera. Really do appreciate that. Now, if you have any suggestions that you would like for future shows, don't forget our Facebook page. If you're not on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Home Workers Network, and I'll put a link to that in the comments. Actually, Julian, if you could do that now, that'd be great. And also, obviously, just thank my co-hosts Phil and Julian. What a great show! I think we're onto something here. And actually, we've had 80 people pass through here in the hour. There's 22 people watching it live now, and I just had a quick look on Blab's main profile screen, and we're actually the number 1 Blab at the moment, which is fantastic. So really, really great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. We will produce details of that on our Facebook page. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Paul, just to finalise on that as well, if we can just finish up with a mission statement at the end for anyone that sort of missed it.
Yes, I can read that out. No problem at all. So the mission statement is the show that is all about creating an engaged home workers community that shares best practice and leadership so that together we can grow and develop both ourselves and our businesses.
Perfect. That's what
Thank
we're
you
all
very
about,
much.
guys.